Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Man, oh man, we got a great show for you guys today. And boy, what a beautiful day it is. It's Wednesday, June 6th, and I hope you guys had a great morning and you're ready for a good lunch and a great show, folks. This is Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, every show is dedicated to the first responders and it's dedicated to people like you. Take the time and watch the show either at 12 o'clock or you watch it on the other social media outlets that we have. We are on the Tony Ocean Show Live Facebook page. We're on the Mo Carrara Facebook page, which is my personal page. It's on Twitter, it's on LinkedIn, it's on YouTube, and it's on the Tony on Ocean's Pit Facebook page. So however you're watching it, I do appreciate it very much. We got a great show today. Great guest. Guy's been around business for many, many years. Mr. Ron Starr will be joining us in a few. And he's done everything from Elvis, baby, to Paul McCartney and Wings. And he's done so much other stuff as well. So we'll talk about a lot of stuff with Ron coming up shortly. But folks, remember, check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book a show tonight. If you've got no plans, me, Jerry Jams, and Lisa P. will be at Capri, Osteria Capri in Downers Grove, the brand new one in the Hilton Hotel. That's right, 7 o'clock, great stage, a lot of fun. They'll be tonight at 7. Tomorrow we'll be with the Jerry Jams and Tony Toto at Pasta Mia in Bartlett, outside patio. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg, 8 o'clock. And Saturday, Tavern on the Point in Edison Park, only the number one rooftop concert place in the city of Chicago, Edison Park. That's a lot of fun. That's an 8 o'clock hit. All right, so let's bring up our sponsors. Let's not forget Ace Hardware, Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, Warrenville. Ace Hardware, buy local, shop local. That's what it's all about, man. Raphael, Melissa, and Jackie, they do an incredible job with so many great things they got going on with Ace. When you're buying local and you're supporting mom and dad establishments right now, you guys know it. Grill your Ace off. It's that simple. You get $20 off any grill purchase at the following Ace Hardwares, folks. $20 off. Just tell them grill your Ace off. And don't forget, folks, they got U-Haul rentals. They've got so much stuff, lawn furniture, garden decor, as well as flowers, vegetables, herbs, and plants. They got everything going for summer. That's Ace Hardware. Remember, Ace has been helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. That's Ace Hardware, folks. All right, let's not also forget Gorelli Pavement Service. Gorelli knows the curb appeal for your home and business, largely affected by concrete and asphalt. They also do driveways. They service Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. That's Gorelli Pavement Service, 815-271-5835. That's 815-271-5835. Call Laura or Barb, get your free estimate, and tell them Tony O sent you. Gorelli Pavement Service. All right. And last but not least, let's get, of course, what we're going to be doing 2024 Chicago Music Cruise. January 7th, 2024 to January 14th, 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise, Royal Caribbean, Wonders of the Sea. It's the biggest ship on the water right now, folks. It's 4 football fields long. It's that big. It's going to be fun. Tony Ocean and the main event band, Jerry Jams, Tony Toto, Danny Ramundi. Then Mojo's Jukebox, my other great band who just opened for Chicago and Iowa. That was a lot of fun. And then, of course, Seventh Heaven, the main attraction, Seventh Heaven. My good buddy Richie and the boys were kind enough to ask me to do it this year. We've been talking about it for years to put something together to do it, and now we finally got it going, so we're excited. Go to ChicagoMusicCruise.com and book here. Now, we'll be going to, or starting off in Orlando, Florida, Coca Cay, Bahamas, St. Thomas, and St. Martin. That's going to be a great trip. Woo! Call Mary. Tell them Tony O sent you. All right, guys, let's say hello to a few people who might be watching right now. Let's hope Danny Ramonde, Danny Nozak, Tony Toto, Suzanne, Jambroni, honey, I want to say a happy birthday to your mom up in heaven, Suzanne. I hope you're doing well. My dear friend, Joanne, everybody up. We have a St. Louis watching. We have New Jersey, Wisconsin, Kathy, Santa Barbara, California in the house, Albert from the Ron Onesti organization. Indiana's watching. Johnny G, Richard. How you guys all doing? Dennis, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. All your favorites are here and a lot more coming up. So we got a great show lined up for you today, folks. Yesterday we shot the shit. That was a lot of fun because that's what we do on Tuesdays. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays we have guests. Tuesdays, shoot the shit. Thursday, tomorrow, my lovely co-host will be my lovely wife, Laura Ocean. And then Friday we have the queen, the diva herself. I mean, she's Denise Tomasello. She used to go out with Frank Sinatra Jr. I mean, we got Denise going to be, she got a big show coming up in July with her 20-piece orchestra. It's going to be great. So Denise Tomasello will be our guest this Friday. It was great seeing Irene Michaels, our guest too, of this on Monday. She's fantastic. She'll be doing her show July 12th at the Carnival Speakeasy. She's fantastic. Her and her husband, Arnie, of course, owner, the founder of Jams Productions. But Irene is going to be fantastic. All right. But today's guest, my good buddy Ron Starr, will be coming on very shortly. Anyway, a lot of good things to talk about, and I hope you guys are getting your stuff done. Finally, Nina and Eric, my daughter Nina, our daughter Nina is back from her honeymoon. They went to the Bahamas, which is very cool. You know what? Bahamas is beautiful. I love going anywhere, just getting out and traveling, and that's the best part of. Unfortunately, I just don't get too much time to do it. And a lot of times, half the time, since I've been doing this 30 years full time, you get to the point where even when I'm out of town, you're working. You might be going to these places, but you're still working. The good thing, so you don't have no time even when you're working, you're still sitting by the pool, maybe somewhere in the Bahamas or Florida, wherever you're at, but you're looking at your watch knowing that, hey, 5 hours from now, I got to go to work. What I like about the cruise that's coming up, folks, Tony Ocean and the Main Event Band's playing 2 nights out of the 7. Mojo's Jukebox is doing 2 nights out of the 7. And then the rest is all Seventh Heaven. So we'll all have time to actually relax and meet with people that are coming. We've got over 250 people just for Tony Ocean that are joining us on this cruise. And it is, I'm just flabbergasted that that many people are going to be joining us. So I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I get to mingle with everybody and have some fun. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Let's get a couple more sponsors before we bring up our guest, Ron Starr, folks. Let's not forget, if you're looking for the best lawyer in town, Roy McCampbell, attorney at law. That's right. Law practice that is client-focused and results-driven. Out of Rosemont, Illinois, 708-275-4264. That's Roy McCampbell. Let's not forget my wife's company, Laura Ocean Solutions, increasing profits while reducing credit card fees. If you go with Laura Ocean Solutions, you'll never have to shop again. Absolutely. How about Deutsch Power Center? Deutsch Power Center out of Elgin, Illinois, servicing the construction and diesel industry for the last 100 years. Deutsch Power Center, 224-276-6560. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. All right, so it's good. I'm in a good mood, man. I hope you guys are in a good mood. It is nice. We opened the pool last week, 2 weeks ago, and now Ryan, Ryan was a great sound man. He works for me as well, but he's got his own company. He's got a brand new RPM he runs, and he's got a new bar opening, his own restaurant finally he's had a few, but he's opening his new place called Bugsy's in McHenry, opening mid-July. So this is his last project that he's doing. He's putting a brand new deck, which they're about maybe 75% done. So another 4 or 5 days, the deck will be ready. So I'm excited about that, to have some fun. So that's good. And then, of course, we got a special Ocean's Pit next week, Monday and Tuesday. We'll be in Wisconsin Dells with my lovely wife, of course, and the piano man, Nick Hodges, and, of course, the First Lady of Music, Phyllis. It's going to be fun. Now, this is not work. We are just going out to relax, sit by the pool, smoke some cigars, have some cocktails, smoke some more cigars, and have some more cocktails, and just have a little fun. So we will be doing live Ocean's Pit, me and Nick and Phyllis. It's going to be a good time this Monday and Tuesday. All right. So we were talking about going out and trying. There's so many good things. What I love, especially, and I'll talk to Ron about this too, folks. When you're in this business, and the thing about it the most is when it comes to summer. Danny Manzi's in the house, buddy. Stella, what's going on, guys? Danny Manzi. Let's talk about my buddy Danny real fast. Buy local, shop local. Go to Armando's Supermarkets, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, Illinois. Buy local and shop local. And don't forget Mikey and Gigi from Crash Champions Collision Auto Repair. For all your collision auto repair needs, go to crashchampions.com. We were talking about mentioning stuff about we're playing all the time, so it's very hard to go see other artists. And when you only have, I got Mondays and Tuesdays off, and Tuesdays a lot of times I end up rehearsing, whether it's with Mojos. So, you got to make sure that stuff is happening. And I wish I'd go out and see groups. And sometimes on my 2 days off, I'm like, now this Sunday, I might go to the Arcada Theater and see Peter Noon and Herman's Hermits. I think Mike Good King Fun is opening for him, but I think I haven't seen Peter Noon in a long time, since Schaumburg, since Septemberfest in Schaumburg. So that's what I'm probably end up doing on Sunday, going over there, which would be kind of cool to see Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits. And it's been a great week. Of course, Sunday we opened for the Grassroots, and I'm a big Rob Grill fan. Big Rob Grill fan. Of course, Rob's not been with the band for many years, but I was always a diehard, and opening for them were great. And then, of course, we got to meet Priscilla Presley for a private party in Northfield. And we talked about it briefly, folks. She's like 5'8". I mean, here's a woman that was involved with kings and queens, and she met everybody. And of course, she was with the king. What do you ask her? So my sister Natalie came up with a question. What's it like with Elvis Presley? What was it like in the mornings? Well, her answer was there was no mornings. They got up at 4:30 in the afternoon and they had breakfast. And then they said they had a giant movie studio in Graceland Obvious' house, and they'd watch movies every night. And I guess from what I'm hearing, their relationship was very, very cool until the comeback special, 68, and when Elvis went back on the road again. Because other times he was filming movies and back at home, filming movies, back at home. But then when he did the 68 special, went out and started the road again, I think everything kind of unraveled. Because, you're Elvis, man. What the hell? That's got to be a tough life. Anyway, you're watching Ocean's Pit, Little Show about big things. It's time to bring up our guest, ladies and gentlemen. He's been born in the Chicagoland area, started marching band. This guy's done everything, man. This is very, very cool, and I'm excited to have him on. Now, me and Ron have heard of each other through the years, but because when you're an entertainer, it's very hard to see each other's shows, So he was kind enough to come to one of my gigs with Johnny G and Crystal Kaniwa. Thank you for bringing him up at Capri a few months ago. And we came up and sang a couple songs. We hit it off right away. And I said, you know what? This guy's been busting his butt doing this music like we do. So when we're in the business, we really appreciate stuff like that. And really, he's got a big history of stuff. So without any further ado, enough of me talking. Let's bring on Ron Starr in the house.
How are you, Tony?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
You're my favorite goalie in all of Blackhawks history, Mr. Tony O.
Oh, thank you. You are, you got a very impressive stuff, Ronnie. It was great talking to you and get to know you a little bit. Let's get to it. First of all, thanks for doing the show. Number two is how you doing today?
Great. I mean, it's a beautiful day. My grandson spent the night, so we had a lot of fun. And he gets me up nice and early for breakfast, so.
Yes, I'm up early too. I can't sleep. I sleep maybe 5 hours a night. So I got to work on that. All right, Ronnie. So where were you born? Let's start off nice and easy. Where were you born?
Well, I was born on the West Side. So my parents are West Side Italians. My dad was Grandin Western. So that's, that neighborhood. And then my mom was Chicago and Holman. Okay. And so they ended up moving all across the street from each other. And then my dad went to Marshall High School. My mom went to Our Lady of the Angels Grammar School, and then Cathedral High School. And that's how they met back in the 50s. And so I was born on the West Side and then grew up in Northlake, Illinois.
Northlake, Illinois. Very familiar with that. Okay, so Ronnie, you have an Italian family, right? Was your mom and dad both Italian?
Yeah, my mom's family, they're all from Naples, and my dad's family on his mom's side, they're from Bari, and then his dad actually was from Krakow, Poland.
Oh, very, very cool. So you had a big family growing up, right? What was that like growing up in the household?
Well, I only have two sisters, but the extended family, yes. There's a lot of cousins, a lot of aunts, a lot of uncles, and I try to tell my grandson, even my daughter today, it's not the same anymore. We used to go to these family events for East. First of all, every Sunday was my mother's mother. We every Sunday the whole clan was at her house, and it was just like Goodfellas when everyone went to Paulie's. It was the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's and we all ate together. We played together. We played
Sure.
basketball together. We played games.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But a lot of those people passed away, and and today's families don't grow as big as the families back then, and it's just not the same. I wish it was.
I wish it was too. I think the tree breaks when when the grandparents go.
Hmm.
Everybody used to go whether they wanted to or not when the
Correct.
grandparents said it. And I
Respect.
think when they went away, then all of a sudden it just went. Everybody went their own way. Ronnie, you growing up in a big family. Who was the first person who influenced you? Was it your parents? Was it someone you seen on TV? How did that come to you? Go, boy, I want to be in this kind of business.
Oh, and music. It would have to be my father. My father was, growing up in the 1950s. That was the start of the rock and roll era, right? So my dad went to Marshall High School. A lot of Italian guys went to Marshall. He was actually a star basketball player at Marshall. He was on the first state championship basketball team,
Very cool.
first city team to ever win a state championship. Anyway, him and his Italian buddies, back then, Dion and the Belmonts, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, they all started out like singing harmony on street corners.
Yeah.
So he was in a Chicago doo-wop group called the Deltones, and they were managed by a guy named Jim Lounsbury, a very famous man in Chicago. And they got on Chicago Bandstand. They were on the Jam with Sam radio show. They cut about 5 or 6 records. A few of them made the Chicago Top 40. So as I was growing up, I mean, that's all we heard on the only records we heard was 50s music, 60s music, The Temptations, Elvis. Um, and on the in the car, we he had his 8 tracks, but then we also had back then, if you remember, WFYR, Fire Radio. They
Yeah.
had Solid Gold Saturday Night, listening to all the oldies. We went to Sock Hops. We used to go see Rick Sacido. It was
Sure.
that's yeah.
That's what it was like. In my house, there was only Italian music. They didn't play any American stuff. They didn't play any. I mean, they played a little Sinatra, a little Dino, but it was basically all Italian music.
Mhm.
That's very cool. So your dad influenced you. Now you started playing music. You started a marching band. How old was that when you were in that? You played a lot of instruments.
Yeah, so in grammar school, I went to, of course, Catholic grammar school, growing up Italian. And I see my drummer, Bobby Pescia, is listening. Bobby, I see you out there. Um, uh, I went to St. John Vianney in Northlake, and
Okay.
we sang, and we had music classes. We had everything in Catholic school. Your parents sacrificed a lot to give you a lot.
Sure.
We learned how to sing in the choir. We had to take a little piano. We learned how to play guitar and play at the guitar masses. So I also learned how to play the drums, kind of, sort of. I didn't continue with it, but I started learning how to play the drums in grammar school. And when I got to high school, I went to IC, Immaculate Conception out in Elmhurst, and I needed to take an extra credit. And the nun, Sister Michelle, I'll never forget her name, said, "Hey, why don't you take a beginning band?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I like bands. I like music. What do you?" So I'm thinking, rock band kind of thing. And so what ended up happening was you had to pick an instrument, and it had to be an instrument that they needed. So they needed trombone players in high school. So I started learning trombone. I did really good with it. I learned how to play trumpet, trombone, tuba, the baritone, and then with this, by second semester, I was in the marching band, and spent my whole high school career playing classical and or the at the football games and the basketball games, the fun music, the pop.
Ronnie, do you still play a lot of instruments in your show, or do you with your band? Do you have a band? You also do your solo stuff.
Mhm.
Do you still play a lot of those instruments? Do you have a favorite instrument?
I occasionally will put on the acoustic guitar with the band. When I'm solo, of course, I play the acoustic the whole time, and I like to play the piano. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Very, very cool. We got Ron Starr on, folks, Chicagoland Entertainer. Let's get a break for a special sponsor again, folks. Let's not forget our good buddies from Don Esteban Cigars out of Tarpon Springs, Florida, Tony Ocean Cigar Specials. They will hand roll them, deliver them right to your house. That's 727-366-7536. Tell Javier Tonio sent you. And let's go to Trico Hair Expert out of Rosemont, Illinois, recreating great hair days. Anthony and Carmela, 773-999-7888. Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. We got our good buddy Ron Starr on. Ron, you know what? I've looked through your stuff. Obviously, you're a sports guy. You found the first men's hockey program. What was that all about? Now, that's kind of cool. A little bit of everything. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. So my dad, again, the huge hockey fan, Hawks fan, kind of, he had season tickets for years during the Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita, Tonio, Pat Stapleton, Keith Magnuson era back at Chicago Stadium. So we grew up, loving the Hawks. And we didn't really, hockey was around the Chicago area. It was popular, but it wasn't an every household thing because it was very expensive. So if you were a blue collar family, it wasn't something you really picked up. It was more of a North Shore kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think the only rink we had out here was like Franklin Park at the time. So when I got to high school, we didn't have any kind of hockey team or anything, but my sister's boyfriend was a great hockey player, and he played over at COD, at College DuPage, who had a great program, and then he went over to Triton College, and they had a great hockey program. And unfortunately, they were so rough and tumble. Now, we're talking about the 80s, right? That was when hockey was kind of rock'em sock'em.
Sure.
They got disbanded, and I was heading into DePaul as a freshman, and they had no club sports of any kind. And these guys were all just getting out of junior college and needed a place to play. And they were all in Chicago. They're all great players. So I said, hey, why don't we start a club sport at DePaul? So that's what I did. I put up signs and I did all the work. I became the GM and the head coach for 5 years.
You're still a big Hawks fan. I'm a diehard Rangers fan. And when Patrick Kane came, it was very good for me. I know it was a slap to you Blackhawk fans, but it was great for my Rangers still. And, still a great sport. I think what killed them, think about it, if the old man was still alive, hockey still wouldn't be on television.
Probably not, but I'm going to say something about the old man. We grew up kind of despising him because of his practices. But I'm going to tell you what, that man knew how to sell out Chicago Stadium, whether the team was good or not. And they always had a full house, as long as I can remember, even up till even when Mike Keenan took over and the team wasn't doing so good at first. Yeah. They were, if you look at their home schedule or their results, no matter how bad the team was, no matter how well they did the playoffs, at Chicago Stadium, that team was almost undefeated every single year because they had the best home ice advantage in the league. They had a small rink. Every corner was a different angle. The rink was 15 feet shorter than regulation. You had the noise level of the audience and the diehard fans. And unfortunately now with the game on TV, I know it brings in a lot of revenue and all that, but Rocky Wirtz is finding out the hard way. Unless you're winning, he's not going to sell tickets.
But then you can look at it the other way. Wrigley Field, not a Cub fan, a diehard Yankee fan.
Yeah.
So, but they sell out no matter who's playing.
Right.
Whether they're winning or not. So there's a different mentality there when it comes to baseball.
And part of that, though, is the atmosphere. Because a major part of seeing a Cubs game is the history and the field itself and the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that was part of why the Blackhawks had a real cult following for 30 years because they were like just going to a Hawks game at Chicago Stadium and watching the fights and the hard checking and the rowdiness of that crowd. That's what kept people coming back. And they
kept coming back. And it was always a lot of fun. Ron Starr, you got a big history of stuff, Mystery Train. Well, how did Elvis? Why Elvis? I mean, first of all, Presley. What he did for music, what he did for stage and clothes and everything. Elvis was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Why Elvis Presley?
A few reasons. Now, I didn't realize a lot of this till later when I started researching him, but he made his comeback in Las Vegas when I was born. I was born in August of 1969, and that's when he had his first engagement out in Vegas. Not that is a correlation. I'm just saying there's a lot of like weird correlations over time that I found out. And my dad was a huge, huge fan. Um, and I just think growing up in the 70s as a little boy, people don't understand today, today's generation, how famous he was. Uh, he, he was up to the moment he died, he was still on tour. He still had records being produced. You can go to any record store, his stuff was on the shelves. He's all over the radio. Not a lot of people really were aware of his conditions that he was having, and a lot of the promotional pictures we saw or were published were of him looking really good. So he was still in Vegas. He was still on tour. He was so famous, and my dad played his music, wore the grooves off that Madison Square Garden and the Aloha concert albums. So it was like ingrained in my head. And you're right. He just the way he dressed, he was a trendsetter. His hair, his good looks,
Yeah, yeah.
um, his sex appeal. I mean, just everything about him was just so cool. He was a movie star. Um, he was just
He kind of hit it. He kind of hit it. He took a little bit of everything, film, acting. I mean, he did all that. I
yeah
know he didn't like his scripts at all because some of the movies were pretty bad. I think Colonel had a lot to do with that.
yeah
And and Colonel Tom Parker have owning 50% of you. I mean, come on. Ron, we have agents that we work and we sometimes that 10%, you got to write that. Now this guy was getting 50% of Elvis, everything he did, but they made each other. I don't think there would have been an Elvis
correct.
as popular without the Colonel.
No, and if it wasn't for those movies, he wouldn't have made the comeback. The comeback, we wouldn't know him today if it wasn't for that movie era. We
Yeah,
wouldn't know him the way we do today if it wasn't for those movies going the way they did, because that gave him that drive to do that special in '68. And I'm telling you, if you saw the recent Elvis movie that came out, okay, they took some liberties, but when that scene comes up, when he makes that comeback, it sends chills down your spine. That's
yeah.
how amazing his comeback was.
Did
Um,
you like the movie? I mean, I'm not. I mean, I like Elvis. He's not my favorite, but I
yeah.
like him a lot. I think with based. I think Tom Hanks did a good job. I thought the kid did a good job in it.
Mhm.
Priscilla actually was the executive producer of it. What did you think of it yourself, being an Elvis fan?
As an Elvis fan, I liked the the costuming. I liked the cinematography. I liked the sets. I liked the whole aesthetics of the film. I think Austin did an awesome job, better than 99% of us guys that do that perform. He
Well,
did. He was amazing, and so his talent level, his acting ability was what really sold it for me. Did they take liberties with the story? Yeah. Was the timeline exactly right? No. But you know what? It was just a great movie to watch. It was entertaining. It kept you at the edge of your seat a bit. It was sad. People were in the audience were just bawling their eyes out during this movie at certain times. My daughter, who's only 26, she cried 9 times during
Yeah,
the
my
movie.
daughter was watching too, and she was young. And you know what? I mean, there wasn't that many great movies of Elvis. We know our mutual friend, Mr. Rick Cicito, was supposed to be, if you know the history, of course, he
Mhm.
was supposed to be in Elvis and Me, but a little falling out with Mr. Dick Clark,
Yes.
which kind of set him back for a little bit. But Kurt Russell comes in and does that. So
Mm.
I don't think there really was a good Elvis movie up to that point,
Right.
portrayed him the way he did. And even though they left out a lot of stuff, and but do you have a? Now I know you do Elvis, and when they come and see you, do you do a certain part, certain years in Elvis, or do you put it all together?
Yeah. So, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, my screen went black. I don't know why.
That's right. That's right.
I know why, because my screen timed out. But we're good as long as you could see me.
I
Uh,
can see you. Go ahead. I
right.
can hear you.
So anyway, the question was, what do I do in the show for Elvis? So
Yeah.
we don't. I don't perform the full show in costume as much as I used to. So,
Mhm.
and I think that's because of the marketplace. Since the movie came out, there's more of a calling for an Elvis show, um, but still isn't a lot of a calling for it at local fests. A lot of the local bars still really don't want a full costumed Elvis show. I see a lot of the guys performing at like American Legions and things like that, and that's just not something I do.
Yeah.
I want to, if I'm going to perform as Elvis, I want it to be as good as it can be. I want it to be as big of a production it can be, because that's how Elvis was. That's to me paying the most respect to him. I'd rather have horns and a full band if I can. So at a regular show, like when we're at Taverna last week, or when we're at the Rooftop in Payless, or at the Valley Doyle, we'll throw in 4 or 5 of his best songs. We'll do My Way, Suspicious Minds, Burning Love,
Yeah.
You've Lost That Love and Feeling, and probably Heartbreak Hotel if someone requests it. I love singing "Never Been to Spain," or there's a song I really love singing called "What Now, My Love" that he just kills.
Yeah, he does a great version.
Oh,
I think he does it better than Frank does.
oh my God, it's amazing.
Very, very cool.
And the people go nuts when we do those songs, and I think it's because it's thrown a curveball at them a little bit. But then there's a few shows where we get booked and they say, yeah, we want the whole set. So we do about 45 minutes to an hour, Tone, and I try to pick the early Vegas, early touring, like when he was at Chicago Stadium, Madison Square Garden, early Las Vegas, because that's when he had the most energy. I like doing the songs that had the most energy, like Steamroller Blues, Never Been to Spain, Burning Love, Suspicious Minds.
Yeah.
And then you throw in a few of the power numbers that, the people have become used to hearing.
I mean, and that's what the Elvis I kind of liked. I didn't care for the Hound Dog and Blue Suede Shoes and all that shit. I didn't care for that. But I'm saying, Greg, we got Ron Starr. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Ron Starr, folks, Chicagoland entertainer. Let's move away from Elvi and let's get a little to Paul McCartney and Wings. Sure. We had a band called Band on the Run, which was very kind of cool. You've seen a lot of Beatle tribute acts, just like you see a lot of Elvis tribute acts, but you don't get a chance to see a lot of McCartney and Wings thing, which I think is fantastic. Johnny G even mentioned, are you going to bring that band back? Because I hear you do a great Paul McCartney.
That's a tough band to bring back because it was an expensive band to book. We had when Paul toured in the 70s, he had a regular rhythm section, plus his wife played keys. So it's tough to find a good female vocalist that can also play keys. Now we can
not to interrupt you, no, Ronnie. Does she really play keys? There was a little question there that she was.
She did. She did play keys.
She did. Okay, all right.
She did. I mean, did she play them great? No, but she knew how to play some basic things. But they also used I've heard you talk on your show a few times about tracks, bands using tracks, and I'm going to tell you, for all those naysayers and all the purists out there, it's a load of shit because the bands have been using tracks since the 1960s, and the best touring acts out there today all do their shows to a track. I don't care what you say, what you think. Paul McCartney, heavy metal groups like ZZ Top, they use tracks because they have to sync. Everything is synced to that track. The drummer hears a click in his ear. You've got the lights. The light shows are very consistent. Every show has to be repeatable without mistakes. Where do you think that comes from? It all comes from a computer. And a 4-piece band is not going to generate all those sounds you hear on the record. So they're using that stuff. So in the 70s, McCartney and Wings, while Linda played the keys, she also played an instrument called the Mellotron. And the Mellotron looks like a piano, but it really has a bunch of tapes in there, like reel-to-reel tapes. And when you press a button, it plays something that was on the recording. Yeah. So like the beginning of Silly Love Songs, that noise-making thing that happens at the beginning, she would push the button on the Mellotron, and that would happen.
And that would happen.
On Live and Let Die, the big string parts, she would push a button, and they would come in at the right time. So even back then, musicians had to use the top-notch technology of the time to enhance their show and give the audience the best sound they could.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense too. Even ELO, when they first went out, I mean, come on, like a 40-piece group there, they couldn't afford some of them stuff. So everything. I remember one time they were probably one of the first bands on one of their tours. The tape broke or something. So something, all of a sudden everything is gone, and that's got to just destroy you when you rely completely on that. But like you said, it was half and half, and it's very important. A lot of people still need to use it. But Paul McCartney, I'm a diehard Beatle fan. Lennon was my guy. George was my second. Ringo was my third, and Paul was my fourth. But the music that those two guys made between Lennon and McCartney, there's never going to be that again. Why do you think Ron made him so special?
Well, I think what made Paul, particularly for me, so special was, John was more of a, there was some politicalness to his music. He was more of a making statements with his music, and he wrote with a purpose.
Sure.
His purpose was more spiritual and everything else. Where what makes Paul so special is his ability to create a song that people can sing along to and catches your ear and write a hit. He was a hit maker, and he that was his specialty, and he just went on after the Beatles. I mean, with Badfinger, let's not forget, he wrote big hits for Badfinger that could have been Beatles or Wings songs.
Come and Get It could have been a Beatle tune.
could have absolutely
Would have
been.
been a bit. It almost sounds like I mean, Badfingered sounded just like just like the Beatles. Even produced also by George Martin. I mean George Harrison,
Yes.
co-wrote, produced some stuff too. Yeah, so I get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
mean, were you?
And
How do you think they broke up? Everybody keeps blaming Yoko. Yoko had nothing to do with it. What is your opinion?
I think that it was evident in their last couple albums. They had already broken up long before. They were already very individual, and they were basically recording to fulfill their contracts and to satisfy the fans. Because Abbey Road, there's so much individualism on all those songs. You know, you can tell which one's George, which one's Paul, which one's Ringo, which one's John. Um, and I just think they just kind of got tired of things. They got tired of the BS and kind of sitting in a studio and got tired of each other. And Paul, unfortunately, for good and for bad, he became like the producer with George Martin to a point where he was telling them how to play their instruments. You know, no,
And
yeah,
you see that in Let It Be, where they got a little beef with
yeah,
George. I know it got so frustrating that how bad it could have been for Ringo to say, "Hey, I quit,
right,
and leave," and you know what I mean? It
right.
had to be really bad.
Hey,
Um,
we have these problems in our own little cover bands locally. So, and we're not together all the time. So, can you imagine being in studios for hours and days and months and the same three guys? It had to be frustrating after a while.
Absolutely, Ron. You've been to two places that I like what you did. The Graceland, I've been there twice. If nobody's been there, and I heard it's changing, and what was it? What was your feeling when you seen Graceland for the first time?
I saw it for the first time the year it opened in 1982. Um, and they did not yet have, or yeah, they did have the airplane. Melissa Marie was there.
Yeah,
It was weird because at the time the area wasn't built up. It was the road, and there weren't a lot of shops or anything there. The bus depot where you would go into Graceland and catch your bus was like a block away to the north. So we were sitting there looking around like, where's the house? Couldn't even tell. And then when we saw it, I was like, wow. When you saw that, it's only 1982 was what, 5 years after he passed away only. So he was very fresh.
yeah.
When you saw the gates for the first time and all the writing of the people that keep coming and were so sad about his passing, writing their names or little messages to him, that was very touching. And then to go in the house for the first time and see how each room was so different, like a different world for him. And I think that's because that was his world. So each the pool where they played pool was just totally unique. Where they watched TV was totally unique.
Everything. Yeah.
He had a racquetball house. I mean, because he couldn't go anywhere. He just couldn't be a real person like you and I can.
Yeah, and then of course you've been to Beetlefest a few times, and
Mm-hmm.
and I loved Beetlefest. It was great, but it seems like they're running out of people as guests. I mean, they can't bring anybody in anymore. It's the same people over and over again. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Which a little, that's a little. It's not as great as it used to be. You did enter a couple Elvis tribute contests. What are those kind of like? I mean, you go walk into a room and there's 50 guys that look just like you. So, what was that feeling like?
Well, when I first started out, I I had my band working a lot, and I did some of the contests. Now, keep in mind, I was in my 20s and early 30s, so I was very, very slim, much better looking, and my energy hasn't changed. I still got the energy,
Sure.
but I just think as we age, we need more makeup. We need more. You need to do more to keep yourself slim. So back then, I was doing really well. I was winning a lot of contests. I was making the finals in a lot of contests. Now there's a whole new young generation of guys that are, and they're focusing more on the younger Elvis years from the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah.
And I think the movie had a lot to do with that. So today when I go, it's not as successful. It's fun to go and it keeps your name out there and the people love you. That's not an issue. But the guys that are going to make it and win these competitions are going to be guys in their 20s,
Yeah.
not their 30s. They look great in a jumpsuit. They're muscular. They're tall. They've got nice, long, thin legs. That drives the ladies crazy. So
Yeah.
when they hear them screaming, that's who's going to win the contest.
That's who's going to win. And let's just pretend that the Elvis didn't die. What do you think he'd be doing? I mean, be doing Vegas still? What kind of music would he be covering? Because he used to do some great covers,
Mhm.
of other people's music. Can you picture what Elvis would be thinking right now of the horrible music that's out right now?
Yeah, I think. Well, even in the late '60s, when the British invasion kind of took over and everyone had shaggy long hair and beards, Elvis was very respectful publicly about what he thought. So I think that would stay. He would not lead on that he was unhappy with the music scene. But what I think he would have done had, people don't know this, but he was supposed to be cast in A Star Is Born with Barbara Streisand,
Yes,
and
yes.
had that happened, and there's conjecture over why it didn't happen, but had that happened, I think he would have straightened up a bit, had a new challenge, and he was also slated. A lot of people don't know this either, and this is a true story.
Sure.
I sound like Joe Biden. This is a true story, which immediately means it's false. But
Yes, absolutely. We get out of that subject real fast. Go ahead.
So anyway, he was supposed to be in Grease. Danny Zuko was supposed to be Elvis's part, and the part of Sandy was supposed to be played by Anne Margaret. That's who it was written. The screenplay was written for. Unfortunately, Elvis died, and they gave it to who was very famous at the time, John Travolta. So had those two things happened, I think yes, he would have continued touring. He would have had new challenges. He also would have, in my opinion, 2 years later, the country music movement really came into play with Dolly Parton, Rhinestone Cowboy, or not. I'm sorry.
He would have been. It would have been picked up a whole different part of his career.
Yes, Ride the Bull at Jilly's. I mean, all that was
Yeah.
huge. So that I think, and he recorded a
Gillies.
Gillies. He
Gillies,
recorded
yeah.
a lot of great country songs, Elvis.
Yeah.
His voice was perfect for country. So he would have, I think, made a switch over and been more country. I think he would have obviously gotten away from jumpsuits and done something a little more cowboyish. But I think today he'd still be in that country bandwagon. I think.
I think so too. Ron Starr is with us, folks. Now let's talk a little bit, Ronnie. We talked about Beatles, we talked about Elvis, let's talk about you.
Yeah.
Tell me about, if they've never seen a Ron Starr show, what would they get with Ron Starr and Too Much Fun? What's going on with that?
Cool. Yeah. So I've had a lot of bands over the years, and COVID screwed everything up. It really did. It destroyed everything. And coming back post COVID, trying to get rebooked. There was a lot of solo duo stuff going on, not a lot of band stuff happening. So it was really hard to get work for the band. So it was hard to keep the musicians together because,
Sure.
they want to work.
Yeah.
And, so that really made things tough. And the clubs and things that were starting to book again, we're going with the sure things. Tony Ocean's a sure thing. He's going to bring a lot of people. He's got a great reputation, and he's it's going to be a great show. Seventh Heaven, 16 Candles. Those are the bands that continue to get the lion's share of the work in the area. However, as things have opened up, I said to myself, well, my family said to me, you kind of took a back seat and let the female that we had in the band take the front seat. And I started putting on some weight. I was not keeping myself in shape. I was just playing guitar and singing harmony. And my dad motivated me and said, you need to get back to what you're good at. You need to get back to what you used to do. He said, if you just get back up in front and whip yourself into shape again, the band will be working. And sure enough, that's what happened. So we made a couple changes personnel-wise. We renamed the band, rebranded it. I lost a lot of weight. I'm still in the process. I've got still 35, 40 pounds I want to lose. But
we all do. Ronnie, we all do.
I know. So I'm back in front. And what you get when you come to see us, you're going to get a mix of modern pop. And I mean, I do songs by Dua Lipa, Justin Timberlake. I'll even sing "I Will Survive" but all the way back to ABBA. We do ABBA songs, we do Cher, we do some disco, and we do rock and roll. So we do a lot of 80s rock, 80s pop. It's just a real nice wide mix, and everything we do is to try to keep people out on that dance floor and or singing along. So it's a lot of more energetic and very dance oriented. So
well, it's very important, Ronnie. What I was trying to tell you to a lot of bands, if you notice one thing, sometimes I think at one time when you first started, we first started, people came to see the artist. I think now through years, it's more like a social event. It's not like they come, yeah, but they're going to be coming, and things are going to be happening. It's going to be a lot of fun. What do you think happened in the music business? it was kind of dying out even before COVID,
Yeah,
especially in Chicago and the suburbs. Obviously, the places, more restaurants now, more they're not that lounges like they used to be. So, what would you think happened to the music business?
I think what happened is the over sexification of society in general. Everything is sex, 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 shorter skirts, younger girls showing off their rear ends. I mean, it's just the music industry. That's what it's turned into, a big Playboy magazine. So, and now when you see artists performing, it's not about them singing anymore. It's not about watching Frank on stage belting out, his great tunes, or Elvis belting out great tunes.
Yeah,
Now, Elvis had sex appeal too. Don't get me wrong, but first and foremost, he was a great singer and a great entertainer, and it wasn't smoke and mirrors. It was pure talent. What you've got now today is when you go see a production. Okay, I went to see Beyonce at Soldier Field. I've seen Taylor Swift before. She's good, but it's all about the sexy look, high cut outfits. Look at J Lo. I mean, I saw her at Milwaukee Summerfest. It's all about the lights and the razzle dazzle,
yeah.
and the smoke and mirrors, and the production and the dancers. And
It's crazy. Now, here, someone just told me, send me something that Taylor Swift did 3 nights, 3.5 hours straight for 3 nights in a row. Impossible if she's singing only. Between dancing and everything, that's, come on.
no,
There's got to be. And I'm not just hitting her. I mean, everybody.
no,
I did 2 hours straight on Sunday, and I was like, and it's like that's just one night outside. So I can imagine it's got to be very a lot of more hard work. You got to be more like a jukebox now. You got to be more like a jukebox.
you're right. And so the guys I have in my band, my guitar player loves '80s rock,
Sure.
but and when he first started with the group, he's like, Ron, I'm more of a funk '80s rock kind of guitar player. I'm not really into this dance rhythm stuff. But I said, well, I need you to stick around and trust me just a little bit. And when he started seeing the new format with me in front doing a wide variety of stuff people can dance to, when he saw the reaction from the people jumping up to dance and enjoying themselves, that made it more enjoyable for him. My bass player, he's a purist. He hates using backing tracks of any kind. He's the kind of guy that thinks, people are going to come and see you for your talent and for your ability to play the bass or the guitar or this.
I hate to say it, but it's not the truth.
He does 5 open jams a week, and all of them have nobody watching, and there's a reason why. Because they don't care. People don't care about that.
People see with their eyes. You're right. They see with their eyes. They see what's going on.
They want to be entertained. Now, my drummer, I think you know my drummer. He was the drummer for when I first started in the business. A guy named Tony Bernard got me up on stage.
Sure, Tony was a great guy.
He started me singing live.
Very good guy. Rest in peace, Tony.
And his drummer at the time became my first drummer in my first band, Mystery Train, and he's still my drummer 26 years later. His name's Bobby Pesh. Do you know Bobby?
Sure, Bobby. Absolutely. Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
I mean, I loved it when he was with Tony Bernard. That's fantastic. I think Bobby was watching too. It's just fantastic that you mentioned him. He was just a good guy, good soul. And died pretty. It was just sad,
Yes.
when everybody's going. Ron, I was looking through your stuff too. A couple of questions. Let's see. Richard says, Ron Starr, obviously, is that your real name? Because, Tony Ocean's not mine. My real name is Maurizio Carrara. It's too Italian. Ronnie, if you don't mind, what is your real name?
It is Starr.
It is really. God bless you, buddy. See, how cool is that?
What happened was, I told you my family's Italian.
Yeah.
Well, my mom's family is Eppolito and Franzisi. My dad's mom is a Sasso, but my dad's father from Poland, the original Polish last name is Starzewski.
Okay.
So my grandfather changed it to Starr because
Sure.
when they immigrated here, you didn't want a Polish last name.
Sure.
So, and when he joined, he got drafted into the Army and fought in the Battle of the Bulge. On his uniform, it says Starr. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Very, very cool. Ron Starr is with us, folks. Ron, you left music for a while. And you know what? Look, when you're in this business and you're working full time in this business and you're doing stuff at night, every night, and you're married, and honey, I gotta go to work. I gotta go here. I gotta go here. I gotta go here. I'm gonna miss Aunt Betty's wedding, or I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss that. And then there's girls at your shows all the time.
Hmm.
It's got to be very difficult to keep a relationship going. Must have been tough. And then if you have kids and stuff, I never had any children of my own. I've got 5 stepkids, beautiful kids. I love them. So I probably would have been different if I did have kids at that time. So what made you want to get back into it? You just said, hell with it. Now it's time.
Yeah, I think my daughter's fully grown. She has a child. I have a 6-year-old grandson. He's actually peeking around the corner here watching. But I can't turn the. I don't want to turn the laptop. I'm afraid it'll
That's
play
okay.
out.
That's all right.
Um, so yeah, I was married for 21 years, and you're right, Tony. You're away. What I found was performing as Elvis and performing, trying to do the work I wanted to do. I wanted to do casinos, festivals, and theaters. You can't do that week in, week out in Chicago. You have to travel. Especially a specialty show, because there's only so many times you can see an Elvis show, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and Rick Cicito is great. The guy's phenomenal, still is. He's been Chicago's #1 guy, and he's
I mean, he was doing Elvis before Elvis died. I mean,
right. So
right?
it was really, there's just there wasn't enough of that work to go around in the Chicago area. So I started seeking work out of town. I had great success. So I was traveling to fests, traveling to casinos. I performed in Vegas with Legends of Concert, in Henderson, Nevada, and doing competitions. I was gone all the time. I missed a lot of my daughters growing up, and it took a toll on her childhood. It took a toll on my wife, and then my daughter had some illnesses. There was things that we had to deal with, and that led to, unfortunately, that and the recession of '08 led to a complete meltdown. So
Yeah.
I ballooned up to 300, almost 350 pounds. We got divorced. I was out of work. I mean, so many things happened. It was like a country song,
Sure, sure.
It was horrible. So then, after I got separated and kind of moved to the city and took things into my own hands, my daughter started recovering. Things started getting better for her, and then I decided
You
to.
should be very proud, Ron. You should be very proud of yourself, brother, because look, a lot of people go down and they don't know how to come back up. And you know what? You just kept coming and you kept coming and you're out there busting your butt. And I think it's very important that you got some good friends with you. I'm sure that's number one. And number two, you got your family now that supports what you do. And boy, I'm telling you, man, I've seen a lot of guys go down when the wife didn't get along with what they're doing. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And it's like, and this is how they met you. This is what they knew you were doing.
absolutely.
It wasn't like you were selling shoes one day. Nothing wrong with selling
No,
shoes, but you said, "Hey, I'm going to quit and become a singer." That wasn't the case.
no.
This is
You know where she met me? I met her in Memphis. I was performing in Memphis during Elvis week, and that's where I met my wife. So she knew.
there you go. So there you go. So there's a perfect story there, and you're coming back. You're doing what you're doing, and you said you were right about COVID. When COVID hit, Ron, 2020 March, you must have said to yourself, "Holy shit!" And a lot of bands did. Fortunately, some good things came out for COVID. For me, this show started. I got sponsors right away after I did it on my phone. I just started talking on my phone, and then a lot of the Italian restaurants, whether you want to say it's good or bad, never closed. They put tents out in the parking lots. They did whatever they can to keep music going. You know what I mean? And you're right. If you had a 5, 6 piece band, it wasn't happening anymore. It went down to one or two. If you're working with the tracks or you're working with your piano player, whatever it was. And then, of course, you had people that look. Florida never closed. Wisconsin never closed.
No.
And that can be another completely different story about the whole COVID thing. But it seems like people are coming back out again. Ron, what do you got coming up? Where can come people see you soon?
Sure. Tomorrow night I'm playing a new venue. It's called the Urban Wine Bar in Lyle. It's not,
Okay,
there's a place I also play in Lyle called Eviva's, which is owned by the Salernos. But
cool.
this is a new venue that's having live music on the patio. So that's our Urban Wine Bar in Lyle. That's
Cool.
Thursday. Then next week I'm playing for our good friend Gigi, who opened the new sports bar.
Yeah.
right next to Capri in Indian Head Park, right off of Wolf and Joliet Road there. So that's on Saturday the 17th. We'll have the band out there. Great venue. It used to be called the Driftwood, and I played there several times. Now
Yeah.
it's GG's.
Yeah.
And the 23rd, we're doing a really big show out in Cary, Illinois, which is where Bobby Pesh lives now. It's his hometown. So we're going to be performing outside. It's a street fest. They close off the street, and the restaurants are on the sides. Last year we sold out. They had the biggest crowd of the summer. We performed, one set of our rock, dance, pops, modern to classic stuff, and one full set of Elvis. That's the 23rd. We're going to do it again. So we'll have our light show. We'll have the whole band. It'll be fantastic.
That is fantastic, Ron. If they want to book you, how do they find Ron Starr?
Sure. We use Facebook for everything. So we post our events, and we have all our videos and everything there. So if you're on Facebook, it's facebook.com/2 Too Much Fun Chicago. That's our. So if it's either the @ Too Much Fun Chicago or facebook.com/Too Much Fun Chicago with the number 2.
Love that name too. Too Much Fun. It's very, very cool. Since we got a few minutes left, Ron, stay with us, folks. We got some gigs coming up again, folks. Tonight we'll be at Capri in Downers Grove, the brand new one, big room. Ron, you would love this room.
I'm coming.
Yep.
I'm bringing a date there tonight.
Oh, then you're going to come up and sing. I'll introduce you to Joey, which is Gigi's brother. Okay. And he owned the one in Willow Springs, but this one's got a big stage. It's called Astoria Capri. It's in the Hilton Hotel. It's going to be great. Tomorrow will be a Pasta Mia outside Bartlett. Friday, Chicago Prime. Saturday, Tavern on the Point. Next Wednesday will be at Lisa's Club Cabaret in Norwich. Thursday will be Venutis with the main event band. And next Saturday will be at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy. And then the 26th of June will be at Mars in Resort in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, their 100th year anniversary at the Riviera. We're excited about that. A lot of fun. I got some birthdays. Let's throw some out there. Robert Eklund, he played Freddie. Of course, Freddie Krueger celebrates a birthday. Frank Rossi, great band Status Quo, 74 years old today. Dennis Weaver, better known as McLeod, celebrates a birthday. One of the great guitar players, Stevie Vai, a fantastic guitar player. Let's go, my good buddy Rene Jabula, folks. He played Colonel West on Star Trek. If you ever watched that TV show, he was great. Another great Chicagoland drummer, Tom Letty. I played with Tom for many, many years. Happy birthday, Tommy. Lillian, if you're watching, Carvello, honey, happy birthday, my dear. Of course, one of my idols, Mr. Dino Crocetti, better known as Dean Martin. His birthday today, the great Dean Martin. Also, the great Tom Jones, Sir Tom Jones. Folks, you got to love Sir Tom Jones, folks. He's fantastic. Celebrating, of course, Larry Lujak, Old Uncle Lair for WCFL, Tony Curtis, and some more great, great birthdays. Happy birthday out there, everybody. We got now tomorrow. We'll be back with my lovely wife, Laura Ocean. And, of course, Friday, Denise Tomasello will be our guest. Hey, we're coming to 2 last sponsors before we say goodnight, guys. Let's not forget Patriot Funding Incorporated out of Roselle, Illinois. Dave Antonelli, commercial money lending at its finest when timing is everything. And let's not forget our good buddies from Ice Hardware, folks. That's right. Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, Warrenville. Ace is the place, folks. That's for folks. They got so many great deals going. Support, buy local, shop local, folks. Take advantage of their auto key FOB programming for all their stores. They program the cut car keys at 50% less than the dealership. Download the Ace Report apps, an easy way to keep track of your points, coupons, and special offers. That's Ace Hardware. Helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Ronnie Starr, listen, last thing, if somebody comes up there and says, Ron, a young kid or somebody in your audience says, hey, man, I want to do this for a living. I want to get into this. What advice would you give them, Ron?
I would tell them, don't be an original artist, because the chances of you making it out of the Chicago area, unless you move to New York or LA or Nashville, are going to be almost none. And if you're going to do it, I would say, stick with covers. You should write your own originals. You should be your own artist. I get that. But if you want to work and make money in the Chicago area, at least, get yourself a good cover band and really be in tune to what the people want to hear. not what you like to play. That's the big pitfall most bands fall into. These musicians, they want to keep playing the blues jams and stuff that they like to play or that they love playing, and the audience just kind of sits there, and if there is an audience, and they leave or they're not into it. You got to be in tune to your audience. Always,
It
always
makes a lot of sense too. But Ron, what do you think about these guys on TikTok? They sing a couple songs and they get billions, millions of views, and boom, they don't
Yeah,
even work. They
it's
didn't
definitely
work their craft. They didn't work their craft. They didn't make anything to
no.
become a social media a wonder. You know what I mean?
I know, and well, your audience is not. Yeah, the delivery is no longer the stage at your local club, right? It's you could be worldwide, and just like we are right now, we could be reaching millions of people. It has that's changed things. So you could do originals, and like I said, if you're going to stick in Chicago, that's one thing. But if you want to do originals, then you got to use the technology, use TikTok, use social media.
Social media and what it is. You got it. Ron Starr, ladies and gentlemen, please go check out my buddy Ron Starr. Too much fun. It's going to be a lot of fun in his band. And folks, remember, buy local, shop local. Remember, keep supporting local establishments and live entertainment. The great words of Ringo Starr says, peace and love. We need it more now than ever, everybody. We need it more than ever. Nick, and I'll see you tonight at Capri, Astoria, in Downers Grove, in the Hilton Hotel, guys. Have a good one. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com. Give us a call at 847-769-8609. Ron, thank you so much, brother, for your friendship. It's going to be a lot of fun. Good look forward to seeing you tonight. And hey, Ron, my good buddy, don't forget Nick Sahajas, the piano man, going to be taking us out. Have a good day, everybody. God bless you.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, Ron. Have a good one.